You're scrolling, you see Rick Ross trending, and you're thinking, oh, he must have dropped a new Wingstop collab or a song. Then you click and realize, nope, it's screenshots. It's DMs. It's a whole timeline of an IG model posting what she says are Ross's thirsty messages, and then Ross turning around and putting her on blast for leaking them. Classic internet mix. A little bit of embarrassment, a lot of ego, and a whole lot of clout. Let's walk through what's going on here and what it really says about the way celebs, influencers, and regular people move in the DMs. First, the basic setup. According to the online chatter, the story goes something like this. Ross allegedly slides into an IG model's DMs. Nothing new there, that's the era we're in. Blue checks in the requests folder, a couple of emojis, some you in my city, energy, maybe a compliment or three. Thirsty DMs just means he wasn't exactly shy. At some point, the model decides to screenshot those messages and post them to her audience. Maybe she blurs his at, maybe she leaves it visible, maybe she adds commentary. Either way, now it's public. From there, Rick Ross reportedly catches wind of it and responds. And this is where it flips. Instead of just being the guy who got exposed, he puts her on blast, calling her out for clout chasing, using his name for attention, turning a private conversation into public content. So now it's not just, look at his messages. It's look at what happens when you mess with me. Two people, one DM thread, two completely different narratives. Let's start with his side for a second. From Ross's perspective, he's a grown man who sent a private message to someone he found attractive. You can call it thirsty, you can call it bold, you can call it lame, but in his mind, that's a normal interaction. In his world, that's part of the celebrity playbook. You see somebody, you reach out. Maybe it goes somewhere, maybe it doesn't. What he probably didn't sign up for was those messages becoming a timeline spectacle. That's why you see celebs get heated when DMs leak. Not necessarily because the content is the wildest thing ever, but because the trust got broken. The second you hit send, you're giving someone power over your words, and that power can be weaponized at any time. When Ross blasts her, he's basically sending a message. I might have slid in, but you're the one turning this into a circus. Now flip it and look at her side. From the IG model's perspective, this might feel like a win. Screenshots from a major celebrity get you attention. People are in her comments like, sis got Rick Ross in the DMs, boss tried to shoot his shot. I'd respond immediately. Maybe she's annoyed by something he said. Maybe she thinks the way he approached her was disrespectful, corny, or repetitive. Maybe she just sees an opportunity to go viral and leans into it. There's a whole culture now where exposing DMs is content. Here's my DM requests. Look who's in my inbox. This rapper said this to me. At a certain level, that's people reclaiming their side of the story. Instead of just being the silent person on the receiving end of celebrity attention, they get to show the public what it looks like. But it can very easily cross into using someone else's embarrassment as your growth strategy. The bigger question is, where's the line? On one hand, if someone is being creepy, aggressive, or disrespectful in the DMs, most people will say, yeah, expose that. If they're married and lying, manipulating, sending wild stuff uninvited, people feel like you opened the door, you get what you get. On the other hand, if it's just a flirty message from a single person, is it really necessary to put that on blast? Or is it just a shortcut to a trending moment? With Ross, you've got the extra layer of celebrity. He's not just any guy. There's status, money, and power attached to his name. That's why some folks look at this and say, she's chasing clout, using a little interaction to get big reach. Others look at it and say, nah, if you're a public figure sliding into people's DMs, you need to understand that screenshots are always a risk. Move accordingly. There's also the conversation about double standards. A lot of people online cheer when women leak celebrity DMs, but if the roles were flipped, if a man started posting private messages from a woman who slid on him, those same people might feel differently. It raises a fair question. Are we actually about privacy is privacy, or does the rule set change depending on who we like and who we're ready to clown? Let's talk accountability, because there's some for both sides here. For Ross, sliding into a stranger's DMs as a celebrity is never fully low risk. You're not a random dude with 200 followers. You're someone whose messages are instantly valuable to blogs, gossip pages, and anyone who wants a viral moment. If you don't want to see your name on someone's story, you have to adjust how you move. Be respectful, be prepared for exposure, and ask yourself before you hit send, would I stand on this if it went public? If the answer is no, maybe don't send it. For the model, you have every right to turn down attention, block someone, or publicly call out disrespect. But if your main goal is to harvest clout off private messages that weren't abusive, just cringy or thirsty, understand that some people will see that as foul. Because what you're really telling future people is, if you message me, anything you say might end up online. That might get laughs today, but it also might cost you genuine opportunities and relationships later. Another angle here is how quick we are as the audience to treat these situations like episodes in a series, not moments in real people's lives. We joke, we pick sides, we make memes, but for the people in the center, this impacts their brand, their bookings, their mental state. Ross is a big enough figure to survive leaked DMs, but it still chips away at the mystique. The model might gain followers short term, but could also get labeled as the girl who exposes DMs, and that stigma can follow her. The truth is, everybody is playing a game of digital Russian roulette. Every DM, every voice note, every picture you send lives somewhere. All it takes is one person deciding to post it, and your private moment becomes public property. And it doesn't matter if you're Rick Ross or a regular person. Your thirsty message, your drunk confession, your wild joke. Once it's out, you don't control the narrative anymore. So what's the lesson in all of this? First, if you're going to shoot your shot, celebrity or not, do it with respect and with the assumption that it could be screenshotted. Ask yourself, if this hit the timeline tomorrow, would I be embarrassed or would I just shrug? That one question will clean up a lot of people's DMs overnight. Second, if you're on the receiving end, you don't have to entertain anything you don't like. Block, delete, ignore, clap back if you want. But before you hit post on those screenshots, ask what your real goal is. Are you protecting yourself from someone crossing the line? Or are you farming humiliation for engagement? Those are not the same thing. Third, as viewers, we need to check our own appetite for mess. We say we want privacy, respect, and mental health, but we're the first ones sharing leaked content, zooming in on screenshots, and pushing the algorithm to reward exposure over empathy. If we didn't reward this behavior with views and comments, less of it would happen. At the end of the day, Rick Ross puts IG model on blast after she leaks his thirsty DMs is more than just a spicy headline. It's a snapshot of where we are with dating, fame, and receipts. Everyone has a platform. Everyone has a camera. Everyone has the ability to make a private moment go global in seconds. And once it's out, you don't get to rewind. So if you take nothing else from this story, take this. Your DMs are only as private as the person you're sending them to. Choose wisely, talk respectfully, and assume that anything you say with your chest might end up on somebody's feed one day. If you're rocking with breakdowns that actually look at the bigger picture behind the drama, you're in the right place. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tapping in. Do me a favor, hit like. Drop your thoughts respectfully in the comments and subscribe to the Short Clips podcast so you don't miss the next deep dive into the stories your timeline can't stop talking about.